So we're going to be looking at a movie ratings data set that I got from MovieLens. There are 3 data files we're going to need to merge together. So we import, if we look at movies 1, we'll go through movies 1 through movies 7. If you look at, we load Pandas, set up the display options, then we read in the first of the data files. We have a user ID, gender, age, job, and zip code. These came from the README file, which downloaded with the data set. And then we're going to do the same with the ratings data file. So we have a user ID, a movie ID, a rating, and a rating date. Then we have the movies data file, which has the movie ID, the title, and the genre. If you've had database before, you can see where we're going to be joining these together. We're going to do UID to UID and movie ID to movie ID. And we're just going to do straight joins here. So we're going to use the merge function of Pandas. So we're going to merge the ratings and users, and then we're going to merge that file with that combined file with the movie file. If we run that, you can see we have a million million records in 3 different files we have to read and then merge all together, so it's going to take a while. But out it pops. And that's where we go. We have all the information put together. So now we have something to work with. So let's go to movies 2. And I'm going to do the exact same thing every time. So we're going to have the data files merged together. Then let's look at, we'll do a pivot table here, looking at the ratings based on gender, and we're going to do the mean. So we're going to, how we're going to join all the rows together is based on gender, and then we're going to figure out the mean. I'll start that running. Then we're going to organize a list by each movie, and we're going to use that. We're going to select just the movies that have been rated by more than 300 people, and then we're going to use that list of movies to look at the group with just 300 people. So we're going to end up with popular movies just by individual movie titles, because that we have here, and that will get us our ratings for men and women. And if you look here, here is our original pivot table where we have the ratings based on men and women, and you can see the movie here is at the $1 Million Duck. And if we drop out the movies that have not been rated by more than 300 people, you can see that the first movie is The Burbs, not the $1 Million Duck, because obviously 300 people did not see the $1 Million Duck, or at least rate it. So this is now our pivot table by gender of the movies that were rated by at least 300 people, because we have greater than or equal to 300 records when we're doing our selection here. If we go to movies 3, we can start looking at what were the movies that were top rated by women and what were the top rated movies by men. We just select the men for the women and then the men, and we'll run through this. And we will see which movies were which. So again, using our pivot table, the top movies for women were Close Shave and The Wrong Trousers. I haven't heard of those movies. One from. And then, of course, for the top movies for men, Godfather, Seven Samurai, The Shawshank Redemption. Now, the interesting thing we want to look at is what movies had the biggest difference between them, because this just gives us the highest rating for men and the highest rating for women, but they could be like very close to one another. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new column. If we look at movies 4, we're going to create a new column in our data frame, and we're going to take the men's score minus the women's score, and then we're going to drop any missing values. and then we'll look at the movies that women like better than men, and then we will then look at the top 10 movies that men like better than women. And let's run that. Notice because of the way that we did the math here, the movies that the women like are going to have a negative score, and the movies the men like are going to have a positive score in the difference column. So these are the movies that women like better than men, with the biggest difference. So this isn't the movies that women like the best. If you saw the mean scores earlier, these are the scores that had the biggest difference, where the women liked it better than men, if that makes sense. So it's the movies with the biggest difference that women liked it better than men. It's not the difference that for the movies that the women liked the best. So Dirty Dancing, Jumping Jack Flash, Grease were movies that women liked and men didn't. And if we look at the top 10 movies that men liked and women didn't, you can see The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Kentucky Fried Movie, and Dumb and Dumber. And actually, you can see that this was at the data came from the turn of the century. So this is all the rows for women, and I just showed the top 10 movies for men here. If we go to movies 5, you can see that we are going to now look at the ones with the most disagreement, but now we're just going to look at a single movie. So we can pull out information for a single movie, which may be useful in the future for you, for some project you might be working on. And all we do is set the title equal to some movie. And this is all the information on that one movie. So there are 817 ratings for the movie Grease. And if we go to movie 6, we will look at the ratings for the overall, but now we're looking at it by age rather than gender. So instead of looking at gender here, I'm breaking it up by age. Now, age in the data set based on the README file is already in groups. And you have to look at the README file to see what these age ranges are. I assume it's going to be 1 to 17, 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 34 to 45, 46 to 50, and 50 to 55, and then greater than 50, 56 and above. But we have to look at the README file to find out for sure. And if we look at this one, we're going to look at just for the movie Grease, and we're going to group it by age, and then we're going to make a bar chart for it. So here are the mean values by age for the movie Grease. And if we plot those, you can see the older people liked it a little better, but overall it was liked by most people, which is probably why it was at the top of the list. The women liked it more than men, if I remember correctly. So anyhow, that should show you how you can start digging into different large data sets. There's a whole lot of other stuff you could look at here. You could look at, we have job category 2. And again, if you look at the README file, you can see the different job categories. And you can look at if there are differences in gender based on job category, and age and gender. So you could look at a whole lot of things. You could look at the year of the movie. You'd have to pull out the year from the title information. But you could look at the year of the movies. You could break the movies into decades. There's a whole bunch of things you could do. Look at average ratings over the years. The limits are only what you can think of. And again, this is only 1 million records. There's bigger data sets out there. So this should get you started on the final project. And other than that, I'll see you online.